This is Mac OS Ken.
Likely uses for Apple Intelligence, troubling talk of an Apple leak, and get ready to game like it's 1979. It is Thursday, the 20th of June, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Get your money's worth and get an extra 3 months free when you sign up at expressvpn.com/macosken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. Whatever shall you do with Apple Intelligence? That was a question the folks at Boutique Researcher Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, or CIRP, have spent the past several days trying to suss out. Informing people who, I don't know, were maybe off the planet or something. A blurb from the firm says, at WWDC 2024, Apple unveiled AI features in upcoming iOS versions, including writing enhancements, advanced photo editing, and custom emoji. Trying to figure out how such new features would fold into regular use of Apple's non-foldable phone, CIRP first looked at the way people use their iPhones today, or how they did use them from April of 2023 through March of 2024. According to their year of data, the 8 primary functions used daily, running from most used to least: texting, used by 95%, internet by 94% daily, email by 81%, phone calling 80%, watching videos 74%, listening to music 71%, gaming 64%, and photo viewing and editing 61%. The way CIRP sees it, Apple Intelligence-aided writing would be a match for texting and email, the first and third most commonly reported iPhone uses. Custom emoji, or Genmoji as Apple calls them, could serve as an AI-supported enhancement to texting. I gotta say, as much as I like the idea of Genmoji, my guess is it's going to be a feature that people will try and love for about a week or two, then kind of forget about. I hope I'm wrong. We'll see what happens. Siri should get smarter with Apple Intelligence, both in knowing about the user and finding stuff online. That could make Apple Intelligence key across the top 3 most used features: texting, internet, and email. For people willing to spend on new hardware, I can't help wondering whether the last feature in CIRP's popular use list will be the first to spur upgrades. Though photo taking and editing is the least common of the top activities according to the firm, 3 out of 5 iPhone owners report using that capability on a daily basis. Camera enhancements have historically been able to drive upgrades, so the photography improvements that Apple Intelligence offers could have a significant impact on iPhone users and perhaps motivate upgrades to devices that are new enough to take advantage of the advancements. Not saying there's anything wrong with what CIRP says. I do wonder, though, whether Apple Intelligence is going to be like Apple Watch and Apple Vision Pro, a collection of tools with example use cases, with an expectant Apple curious to find out how people will actually put them to use. Apple announced new hardware for capturing spatial video during WWDC. Mentioned briefly during the keynote, camera powerhouse Canon announced work on a new dual lens for its EOS R7 camera. According to a Canon press release, the dual lens will let users capture spatial video for playback through Apple Vision Pro. But it's not just hardware learning the trick. A piece from iDownload blog says spatial video recording is also coming to third-party camera apps, though not until iOS 18. That is news that left me confused. We've talked here already about Spatiality. That's a third-party app that shoots spatial video and at higher quality than Apple's own camera app. I guess the difference now, Apple is blessing the prospect and making it easier to do. According to iDownload blog, Apple has basically opened the private API it used to implement spatial photo and video capture in the iPhone's stock camera app on iOS 17.2 and later. And it sounds like you can expect to see a lot more of that. The piece points out, with the new API, developers using Apple's public camera frameworks can quickly implement spatial video recording without doing all the heavy lifting themselves. Unfortunately, it will not do a lot for a lot of older iPhones. To capture proper stereoscopic video, the report says you need vertically aligned cameras, which Apple began adding to iPhones, starting with the iPhone 15 Pro. Here is a weird use of the word finally. A report from The Verge says Apple is finally putting its U1 ultra-wideband chip to use in the smart home with a new hands-free unlocking feature. I'm guessing people have been waiting for this for a while? Well, that doesn't seem likely since the very next sentence says, it is not compatible with any existing smart locks. Finally, Apple has added a feature that's going to cost you more money. That's actually an old trick. Ain't that right, missing 3.5mm headphone jack? Last week, says The Verge, Apple announced it's bringing hands-free unlocking for smart locks to Apple Home when iOS 18 arrives this fall. The new capability leverages the U1 ultra-wideband chip in many iPhones and Apple Watches to allow a smart lock to open automatically as you approach the front door, no tapping required. But you'll need a smart lock, unless you've already got one, in which case, oh, sorry, you'll need a different smart lock. If you feel left out, relax. Not only are there no current locks that work with Apple's ultra-wideband chip, The Verge has only heard plans of one headed to market. The site spoke to Akara, August, Level, Lockley, SwitchBot, UTech, and Yale. They all confirmed that their existing locks do not support ultra-wideband. While most said they were exploring potentially incorporating the tech, only UTech has a compatible lock in the works. The company expects to have that out in the fourth quarter of this year, just in time for the holidays. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. Like a lot of people, I've been cutting back on streaming services. When they were $5 or $6 each, it was fine, but they're all more expensive now, and a lot of times I only signed up for one or two shows anyway. I told you earlier this week about using ExpressVPN with Netflix. What's great is, a lot of shows that are behind a lot of paywalls in the US are on Netflix in the UK. From the classic Star Trek series, to Superstore, to The Good Place, plus all the Netflix originals as well. It's like getting 3 US streamers for the price of one for which you're probably already paying. And it's super easy. Fire up the ExpressVPN app on your Mac, your iPad, your Apple TV. Choose the country from which you want to watch, refresh your streaming service, and see what you can see. It all happens at blazing fast speeds, and switching locations from the US to the UK and back again is as simple as pushing a button. Try it out and find out why ExpressVPN is rated #1 by sites like The Verge and CNET, and why I've used ExpressVPN for years. Stop paying more for less. Get your money's worth at expressvpn.com/macOScan. Don't forget to use my link at expressvpn.com/macOScan to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. EXPRESSVPN, expressvpn.com/macOScan. A troubling if true story from the internet's seedy underside. 9to5Mac says the notorious threat actor Intel Broker has allegedly leaked the source code of several internal tools used at Apple via a post on a dark web forum. According to the report, the threat actor claims to have obtained source code for the following internal tools: Apple Connect SSO, Apple HWE Confluence Advanced, and Apple Macro Plugin. While little is known about the last two, Apple Connect SSO is an authentication system that allows employees to access specific applications within Apple's network. While 9to5Mac can't verify the Intel broker claim, a source for the site indicates that most dark web forums try to uphold a strong vetting process to weed out scammers who want to sell leaked data that they don't actually possess. Of course, there's a difference between try to uphold and absolutely guarantee. It's also not 100% clear that Intel broker is trying to sell what they say they have. 9to5Mac also stressed that this alleged breach is localized internally and has no apparent impact on Apple customer data. And finally today, there is a new video game streaming service headed to iPhone and iPad that I am going to have a hard time not trying out. Actually, I know me. I love the idea. I probably won't do it, but I do love the idea. Cult of Mac has word of the retro gaming service Antstream Arcade. According to the report, Antstream's licensed library of more than 1,300 video games includes titles like Pong, Asteroids, Space Invaders, and Hogs of War. The game titles cover a variety of old-school systems many people know and love from back in the day, like the Commodore 64, Atari 2600, PlayStation 1, and classic arcade games. Here in the States, the service will launch at a bit of a discount. On the App Store, the piece says Antstream Arcade will temporarily cost $3.99 a month or $29.99 per year, before reverting to the typical $4.99 per month or $39.99 per year. Get ready to relive those halcyon days of yelling at the cathode ray. Antstream Arcade is expected to hit the App Store next Thursday, the 27th of June. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Sign up for a year and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.